Hey guys, Joy here, and today I'll be doing my TBR list. This video is only going to include physical books that I own that I have not read. I will not be including library books or ebooks. And due to the nature of how many books I own that I have not read yet, I will be doing this video into two parts. Welcome to part one. So without further ado, let's just get started. I will not be going in any particular order. I'm just gonna be grabbing the books as I see them. And also, since there's so many of them, I'm not gonna say much about them. So the first book I have here is House of Furies by Madeleine Rowe. I bought this book last year in 2017. I got it because it sounded like it was going to be a nice Halloween creepy read, but I never got to it before Halloween happened, and now I feel like there's no point of me reading it if it's not Halloween. The one thing I will say about this book is that it's historical fiction. It takes place in the 1800s. And the next book I got was Skeets by Neil Shusterman. This is actually a signed copy that I got for Black Friday last year as well. I believe it was actually 2 years ago. My bad. I got it because it sounded so interesting, and I have been hearing a lot of mixed reviews, so hopefully I will get to this soon as well in Halloween, because it does deal with like the angel of death or something like that, so I'm very excited to read it. These next three books are actually part of a series that I still have not finished, and those are Cress, Winter, and Fairest. I absolutely adore the Lunar Chronicles, and I cannot wait to continue on with this series. Though before I do continue, I kind of have to reread the first two, mostly because I kind of forgot everything that happened. These next two books are actually part of a duology that I have not yet read, especially since I haven't read the prequels, kind of. That is the Six of Crows duology. I own both Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdoms. This has to do in the Grisha world by Leigh Bardugo, and I have read Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm. The only book I have to read now is Ruin and Rising, so I can't wait to get to these pretty soon. And the next book I have is a book that I should have read during the Twilight era, and the book I'm talking about is The Short Second Life of Bree Turner by Stephenie Meyer, and this novella is about Bree Turner, a young girl from Eclipse that was turned into a vampire. And the next book I have is a book that I tried reading during Booktubeathon last year, but I never got into it, mostly because the language that was included into this book was confusing, and the author didn't really give us any index as to what these weird words were, and there was never any explanation during a paragraph. And the book I'm talking about is The Bone Witch by Rin Chubecco. I'm not gonna lie, I have said it multiple times in my videos, and I bought this book because of its cover. I do plan on giving it one more chance. I don't know when, but the second book is coming out soon, and a lot of people have loved this book, and I just want to know why. So I do feel like giving it a second chance. And the next book I have is a book that my good friend Rebecca over at Becca in the Books has been wanting me to read for some time. I know she really pushes people to read this book because it's one of her favorites, and the book I'm talking about is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I do plan on reading this book this year. I just don't know when I'll have the time. I've heard nothing but great things about this book. I've heard that it's really funny and it has a lot of great dialogue. I've heard a lot about how it is annotated, and I've never read a book that's written that way, especially not one in YA fantasy, so I'm really looking forward to that. So don't worry, Rebecca, I'm gonna get to it soon, I promise. These next two books are part of a trilogy that I believe is going to be finished off this year, and that is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. I have 3 Dark Crowns and I have 1 Dark Throne. My 1 Dark Throne is a signed copy, and that is why I bought it without reading this one. So I'm really bad at that. I love buying signed books. And I do have a video where I talk about 1 Dark Throne and why I bought it. So if you want to watch that video, it's up there. I will warn you though, that video I filmed while I was still sick. When my sister watched the video, she's like, "Why would you make a video when you're sick? Your voice sounds all weird and funky." The next book I have was in the December Owl Crate box, and that is Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. This is a contemporary book, and this is the Owl Crate exclusive cover, which honestly I don't see the difference. I'll put the original up here. It's a very subtle difference, but when you think about it, they kind of look the same. At least to me they do. I believe this book is about a girl who witnesses the breakup of the popular girl Paige with her girlfriend Iris. So I think it's somewhere along those lines, and I do plan on reading it. I just don't know when, because there's just so many books. The next book I have was in the March Owl Crate box, and I have the unboxing up in my channel. I'll link the video up here, and that is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. And this book is super small, and it's about pirate girls, and the red hair just reminds me of Ariel, so it is a book that I will be willing to read. I have read the first chapter and it did intrigue me, but I just haven't picked it up. The next book I have is The Glittering Court by Richelle Mead. Richelle Mead is my ultimate favorite author, and she's one of my auto-buy authors, so when this book came out, I jumped on that ship and I bought it. It's been out for a couple of years now, and I believe the last book is just coming out. It's not a trilogy, it's the same story told from 3 different perspectives. So this book is in the perspective of Adoria, I think that's how you say the name. Another Richelle Mead book that I have not yet gotten to and I hope I get to soon is The Game Board of the Gods, and this is her adult sci-fi book. I believe the second book came out a few years ago. I don't know if she's continuing on with the series, but I have heard her say that she does have plans of writing a 3rd book, but she doesn't know when it will come out. The next book I have was also in an Owl Crate box, and that is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is the Owl Crate exclusive book cover. Now for this one, we do know the difference because I think the colors are inverted. I believe this is the story of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. This book actually also came in the box with Heartless, and I read this in anticipation to reading this book. But for some reason, after I finished Alice's book, I never got to this. The next book I have here is King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. This is the 3rd book in the Red Queen Quartet, I believe. The last book is coming out this year and I am super excited. As soon as I bought this book, I started reading it, but I just never got to finish it, so I now forgot everything that happens in the previous 2 books. But that just means that I'll have to reread the other 2 books so I could read this and then read the last book at the same time. The next book I have here is A Million Worlds with You by Claudia Gray. This is actually the last book in 1,000 Pieces of You. This is the last book in the Firebird trilogy, and I cannot wait to read it. And once again, since I read the last 2 books a few years ago, I'll have to reread them before I get to this one. I think that's actually the problem with me with reading last books in the series or reading other books in the series, because I mostly forgot everything that went down and I just have to reread everything before I even get to the book I haven't read. So I think that's why I'm kind of putting them off. The next book I have here is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I actually won this book via a Twitter giveaway. It came with this book, which is signed, and these 2 stickers. As you can see, look at that. It's signed, but I am super excited. Hopefully I get to it this summer because summer is like my contemporary binge. I just love reading contemporary in the summer. The next book I have here is These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This book was really popular in the Goodreads world, so I decided to get it because I want to know what all the fuss is about. But as I started reading the first few pages, I realized that it's more really sci-fi than anything else, and I already have a hard time getting into sci-fi novels, and sci-fi is just a genre that I hardly ever read for that specific reason. And the last book I have for part 1 is Ruta Sepetys Out of the Easy. So I believe this book takes place in France because it says the French Quarter simmers with secrets. I know I said I wasn't gonna say much about the books, but let me just read you the first few things that made me want to pick this book up. Known amongst the locals as the daughter of a brothel prostitute, Josie Moraine wants more out of life than the Big Easy has to offer. But a mysterious death in the quarters leaves Josie tangled in an investigation that would challenge her conscience, her loyalties, and her darkest fears. So yeah, I mostly got this book because I loved Ruta Sepetys' Salt to the Sea. That was a fantastic book that I reread every year. I read it twice, the year it came out, and then in 2017 I read it again, and I most likely will read it this year again. I love Ruta Sepetys, I love her writing, I love her books, and hopefully this one will not disappoint as well. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below your top 5 books that you want to get through this year. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of my face, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye!